On this edition of Reality Training, I want to talk a little bit about habits. Good habits, bad habits, habits we need to break. The video we reviewed shows some really incredibly dangerous things, not the least of which is the failure for at least one firefighter on the scene not to be wearing an SCBA, not to have his gear buttoned up, and it was a white helmet no less. There's no excuse for this. We've talked about it time and time again. You've got to have an SCBA on. You've got to have your gear properly adhered to your body if you're going to be safe. Remember, what's happened has happened. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. If you're not ready when you get off that truck, take the second or two it takes to get ready before you commit to a lethal atmosphere. If you watch this video closely, you'll see a few things. Number one, the fire is pushing heavily. You've got a dark, crappy looking smoke that's pushing out of the attic and the attic space of the house. Reading smoke is fundamental. You've got to understand what that smoke means when you get there. And when you see that crappy brown smoke pushing out of that structure, that means that the wooden components of that structure are becoming involved. The volume of that smoke, the density of that smoke, and the color of that smoke are going to tell you everything you need to know as far as being safe and choosing a proper operation, be it offensive or defensive. This one in particular had that crappy looking brownish smoke. It was pushing hard, lots of velocity, lots of volume. Those are signs of impending flashover. Also, it means that the structural components of the structure are involved in fire. And yet we see in this video, guys getting up on the roof, a guy getting up on the roof by himself without the benefit of an attic ladder if there was a problem. And what he did essentially was he vented a vented roof. This is one of my pet peeves. If you get there and there's fire coming out of the roof, there is no need to put somebody on that roof and re-vent it. It's vented. That's done. Move on to your next operation. The next thing is just the proximity of people that were not in proper personal protective gear. If you watch the video, the thing backdrafts, and the force of that backdraft blows the helmet off the chief's head. You got to button your chin strap. Your grape's not protected if your helmet's laying in the front yard. And what often comes after a backdraft is structural collapse, and not to mention objects being blown out of the structure from the force of it. You've got to always be ready. And having that chin strap strapped on the back of your helmet is not going to do you any good. Remember, the purpose of videos is to learn, not to criticize. There's always something we can do better. Remember, you can never be too good, you can never be too prepared, and you can never be too safe. I'm Chief Rob Wiley. Be safe.